Whatever it takes, Lord, I am willing to do. I want to thank my sister for that lovely song. And I thank you for your kind words of introduction. Certainly I will remember those words. Happy Sabbath, everyone. How are we doing today? Are we happy and free in Jesus? Yes, we must be happy and free in Jesus. If not, we are at the wrong place at the wrong time. Amen? We have with us today Pastor Mowbray Lewis. Will be having a baptism just after the preaching, and his nephew will be going into the water grave of baptism. He's sitting over the back over there. He's from the North Jamaica Conference. And we're so happy to have you with us, Pastor. We're so happy to have you with us. And I traveled with some individuals from Mandeville. They were sitting in the middle there, but it seemed as if they slipped out. And those of you who are here, your visitor, we're so happy to have you here with us. Today we're going to do something a little bit different from what you're used to. Is that all right? I know it is not Family Life Week yet, but I take this will be an introduction to the Family Life Week that is coming up starting on the 11th to the 18th. I get that right? 12th to the 18th. So this is like an introduction to that. I love family life. When it comes to family, I'm dead serious about that. Right? So we're going to do something a little bit different today. Before I get started in the word, I'm going to ask if you're married and you're here, put your hand up. You're married. Push it up, man. Push it up high. You're not sure if you're married? If you're married and your partner is here, keep your hand up. All right, for those of you their partners are here, find your partner quickly. If you're sitting beside your partner, you're at the right place. Find a partner quickly. Let me see the answer for all the single people. And we the married people, we are praying for you. We are praying for you. So find a partner quickly. Now listen to the instruction. Listen to the instructions. Listen to the instruction. Are you with me? Are you with me? Listen carefully. If during the message, married people, if during the message you hear something that you have never heard before and you want to try, I'm going to ask you to squeeze your partner's hand one time, quickly. Don't let the single people see you. If you hear something, and you have done it before, or you have done something close to it, we want a long squeeze. So you're going to hold your hand and squeeze it a little bit longer. If you hear something, and you don't want it in your marriage, 2 sharp squeeze, quickly. Are we clear? Good. Say it again. If you hear something in the message and you want to introduce it in your relationship, sharp squeeze. If you hear something and you have done something close to it already, a long, nice squeeze. And if you hear something and you don't want it in your relationship any at all, 2 sharp squeeze. Clear? Now, instruction for the single people. Listen carefully. Single people, keep your eyes on the preacher. Mind your own business. Are we clear? Mind your own business. Keep your eye on the preacher. So we're going to deal with the subject, marriage and the family, make it or break it. Marriage and the family, make it or break it. I share a story with you before I pray. I think it was about 2005. I know this individual very well. As a matter of fact, after the incident, we became good friends. Now listen to me carefully. Because our marriages are under attack. Am I clear? This individual, one night, he chopped his wife to death. Listen to me. With the 2 children in the house, young girls, he dragged her out the house, washed out the house, and went back to bed. Now, that is not normal. He didn't run like many of these individuals when they kill their partner, they run. He did not. And he went back to bed. Shortly after, the police came and they arrested him. Our marriages are under attack. Very critical. It's not the big things in life that create problem. Mark that. The small things that you least expect, those are the things that most times create problem. Would you pray with me? Oh, Heavenly Father, we are so thankful that you have brought us to this spot. Oh, truly we await a blessing from you. But Father, I pray that you will take this service in charge. I pray you'll shut my mouth and you speak to your people. Speak through me now and let you alone be lifted up. And by worship in this place, we say thanks in Jesus' holy name. Now, I want you to turn to the scripture passage that was read so beautifully. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, 1 to 5. 1 to 5. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, 1 to 5. As we discuss marriage and the family, make it or break it. First and foremost, Paul established the Corinthians church. The epistle was written about AD 56. AD 56. Corinth was a Greek city, highly sophisticated, like New York, Tokyo, Paris, Las Vegas, or even our own Kingston or Montego Bay. It was the center of commerce, trade, and tourism. The city was located on a peninsula, just like how Florida is projected out in the water. It was like that. So all the ships that were traveling from east to west would pass through. And because of that, it carried a lot of sophisticated people and business and all these things. All levels of corruption was there in the city. And so as I wrote to Paul is dealing with pastoral issues in the book of Corinthians. Division, unjust treatment, classism and cliques, neglect of the poor, immorality, unrighteousness, prejudice. He's dealing with all these things. To be more specific, he's answering questions through writing and singleness, marriage, commitment, intimacy. Hence we have the Corinthian book, as it were. We are not sure who or how the question was asked, but we know why. What? Sexual immorality existed. To the point where Paul said in 1 Corinthians 5, in verse 1, you should not touch your father's wife. It was so bad. It has gone so bad to the point where the son would take his father's wife. And these things were happening in the church. And so Paul is seeking to address these things So probably, just probably, the question that was asked goes like this. Can I take a woman and call her my wife? And sometimes when you're on the street, you hear that. Take a woman and call her your wife. Or is there a need to marry since everybody was shacking up and doing what they please? The church was in chaos. And so all these people from different walks of life came in. And so the moral integrity and the spirituality of the church were broken down so bad. It reached a stage where someone with a concern had to write to Paul. The families, the church were broken, devastated, in pain, severely suffering. If you ask me, the church was in chaos. The church practicing the world. Does that sound like us? Practicing the world with divorce rate among Protestant Christians, one of the highest in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Among Protestant Christians with pride, elders want young girls. And just this week, it came on the news, TVJ, where an elder, listen to me, brethren, these things are critical and serious. An elder molested an underage young lady. That is unlike Christ. That should not be mentioned among us. Paul says, no, to the point where it reaches in the news. And there might be more individuals among us who are doing the same thing. It's just that they don't get caught yet. But God has a way of working out things. Amen? And so elders want young girls, adultery and fornication take over. Nothing is wrong with it. We're becoming like the world. Nothing is. I was at a church once in a particular area. And while I was preaching, I noticed this gentleman, he was walking, he walked off the street and he was coming towards the altar. And on his face, you have mixed feeling like bitterness and hatred and all sorts of emotional mixes were on his face. And I was wondering where I know this individual from. And he walked up to the altar and he said to me, Pastor, tell me if this is right. He was coming from work and found someone in his house with his wife. And his wife was sitting down right in church singing Holy, Holy. Believe you me, sitting down right there, singing and praying and carrying on. So Paul addressed the question as we look in verse 1 and 2. What it says, now concerning the things whereof he wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. In other words, Paul was saying, it is better to stay single. If you're going to fool around, he says, it is better for you to what? Stay single. But if you plan to take somebody, it must be what? Marriage. It must be your own wife and own husband. And so Paul is supporting marriage. As we look on the subject, young people, let me tell you something. Are the unmarried? Singleness is gold. 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 I tell you why I say it. It is within your single stage that you learn to understand marriage. It makes sense? You learn to understand your own sexuality. You learn to understand the opposite sex. In a single, can I prove that? Did God created Adam and Eve same time? No. He created Adam first. And he gave Adam a duty to do what? To dress and take care of the garden. So in your single stage, you must learn what? The value of work. There are certain things that you must learn when you're single. Because when you get into marriage, it is not time to learn these things. You must learn it before. And I'm not saying that you can't learn certain things in marriage. But certain things must what? Come first. So in your single stage, you learn certain things. How to operate, how to function. And this is creating a lot of problem as it relates to the church and marriage. Because a lot of people run into marriage. Let us say, skip certain stage or jump stages and just right into marriage. You must learn your own sexuality, who you are, whose you are, or you should function as a man or a woman when you get into marriage. Must learn that before. Must learn that before. Notice what Paul says. Own wife and own husband. The Proverbs 5:15 says what? Drink water from your own what? And running water from what? Your own well. Makes sense? So Paul is saying, you can't borrow. You can't beg. You must have what? Your own. And for you to have your own, it must be what? Marriage. It must be in marriage. Can't borrow. Can't beg. It must be in marriage. Two men can't marry. Are we together? Because the definition for marriage is what? Another woman. I don't know what that is. But two men can't marry. Two women can't marry neither. That is not a marriage. No. It has to be between what? A man and a woman. Yes. That's how God ordained it to be. Let me tell you something. You know what they used to call me before I got married? No, not single man. Iron balloon. Who know iron balloon? You're looking at one. No, the reason for that is they used to see a car and bus. Huh? And they got to the point of saying that it would need a welding torch to really burst me. Iron balloon. They can't say that anymore. They can't say it anymore? No. Because when you bust, you bust. Can't say it anymore. And so Paul is dealing with a very critical issue. And brethren, we must take this seriously. Seriously. And as we go further, we're going to look at some things. So when Paul says, own wife, he brings into focus commitment. There is no true and strong relationship without commitment. Are we together? There must be commitment. Eh? Must be commitment. So Paul is dealing with commitment. And so Ephesians 5:21 says what? Submitting yourselves one to another. Commitment. She submit to me, I submit to her. Consent. Commitment. Now when we talk about commitment, there are some things that we must look on. Things that we must look on. Security. And any female will tell you that if they don't feel secure, they're not going into a relationship. Sometimes when some men might brush that aside, when it comes to female, because they are very specific and detailed. So if they don't feel secure, they're not going into a relationship. Or they should not go into a relationship because there are some who are going and not feeling secure. for whatsoever reason that is. And so under security, there must be what? Financial security. How are you going to take care of the individual that you plan to take home or married to? How you plan to do that? There must be financial security. You can't be a spendthrift. Are we together, Bridget? No. You must save. Have a budget. Put your tithe at the top. And you break it down. And in your budget, make sure that when you make your budget, there is a part in the budget for vacation or something like that. Recreation. Go somewhere, man. Enjoy yourself. And a lot of people, let me tell you something. Many of us in the church, when it comes to, you say, go somewhere, enjoy yourself, we put it at the back. I'm going to tell you how serious that is, how critical that is. You see, when you get old, and if your house have 15 rooms, you're old and can't move, you're only going to be able to lie in one of them and look up in the ceiling. Probably for months or years, you will never go in the kitchen or touch any other area of the house, except somebody come for you to take you to the doctor. But you see when you lie on your back, brethren, you see those vacations, those recreational activities that you did, precious memories. You're your partner. Are we together? And that way, when you get old, you're not so miserable. Because you have good things to think about. So go out, man. Go little watch here or wherever. If you can go overseas, take your partner and go overseas. Nothing is wrong with that. Enjoy yourself too. Good. So there must be financial security. Listen to me now. Listen carefully. There must never be abuse in relationship. Brethren, listen to me. There should be no abuse in relationship. No emotional abuse. No belittling and speaking down to your partner. And I'm not saying that you cannot have a conflict, because you must have conflict. But no speaking down, let the other person feel as if they have no self-worth. No. By doing that, you're destroying yourself. Because you're what? One. Well, sometimes we think that we're hurting anybody. You know, you have some people, they say that they're not coming to church because of this sister or this brother, thinking that they're spiting the God or the individual. You can't spite God. No. At the end of the road, you will be affected by it. So there must be what? No abuse. No emotional abuse. No psychological abuse. No mental control. You want to control the individual. They don't feel free in a relationship. They must feel free. No physical abuse. No biting, slapping, kicking, thumping, chopping. Two before our big stone. That is not like God. No. There must be, these things must not be mentioned among us, Paul says. As we talk about commitment also, we have to bring into focus vision. Where do you see this relationship going? And ladies, let me tell you something. Because sometimes as men, they come in so many nice words and nice things that you forgot to ask these questions. Where is this relationship going? What you plan to do with your life? Ask the questions. Don't let them tell you no nice things till you forget that you need to ask these things. So you must ask these questions down the road. How is it going to look down the road? So you must look at these things also. So your plans, they must be what? Realistic. And they must line up. Must be going in the same direction. One can't be going east and one going west. So there must be what? Collaboration as it relates to your plans. Who you're dating must have a plan. That is key. Now, can I tell you something? Let me ask you a question first. Who can tell me the first date I went on? Where I went to? You can make some guess. I mean, there are nice places around. Church? One's a church? Anybody else? I'm hearing sound, but I'm not getting anything, so let me tell you. Huh? Listen to me. When I was in school, I used to do agriculture at NCU. And so I had a 3-acre plot of sweet potato and corn and cassava and those things. Right? And so when I met Keris, I invited her on the farm. Yes. Huh? Some of you were thinking about sandals in Don. Or some top of the line restaurant. You Ella Oti? No, I invited her to come on the farm with me. And she said yes. And so we roast cocoa and potato for lunch. And we drank water. Make sense? Brethren, listen to me now. Listen to me. And Mark, you know, it was not a long time since I met her. Probably less than a month. And if a female can come with you to that level, listen to me. So, hear me now. Because sometimes we miss out because we don't pay attention to small things. And it's not that we could go somewhere else. Are we together? But mark these things because the world has given us this perception that if it is not glittering, if it's not blinging, it can't work. And I'm wondering if our young ladies are looking on the blinging and the glittering, because sometimes it is these glittering and shining men abuse women. Are we together? And sometimes the women who are glittering too don't know how to cook and take care of the home. And certainly I'm not telling you not to glitter. That's not what I'm saying. But while you take into consideration what is more important, and so that's where we went. And we had a good time. We ate, and we drank water, and she went to. When I saw that, I said, bless my heart. I said, bless my heart. You remember when it was Isaac who went at the well? I met Rebecca. Yeah? I said, bless my heart, man. So that is critical. Commitment. After commitment, if you look on the Bible, after commitment, Paul moves to something more personal. Personal. And something is coming for your married people. Personal. Notice what he says in verse 3 and 4. He said, let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. The wife hath not power of her own what? No, I wanted to say it loud, you know. The wife hath not what? Power of her own. But the husband, likewise also, the husband hath not power of what? But the wife. In other words, Paul is saying when you get married, you belong to your partner. Who knew that? When you get married, you belong to your partner, and your partner belongs to you. So there's no I thing and me thing. Us and we. And the lesson that we studied this week talks about selfishness. Huh? We think. So Paul talks about intimacy. Watch this now. Intimacy can and will only become real when there is commitment. That makes sense? If the person don't commit to you, there can't be intimacy. So there has to be what? Commitment. Then intimacy. You know, some people turn that around though. Some people doing it around. They have intimacy. And then they work out the commitment part. No. You have to have commitment first. Now notice what Paul is saying. That the husband belongs to the wife. And the wife belongs to the husband. He says, let the husband render unto the wife what? Due benevolence. Now many people, when they think about that, they might be thinking about lock shop. Who know what that term means? Lock shop. It's not necessarily talking about lock shop. No. That's not what he's talking about necessarily. Because sex cannot be the total sum of intimacy. That would miss the mark. It cannot be the total sum. So look what Paul is saying. The word benevolence in the Greek is ophilo. It means to give what is due to your partner. That what is due, that is bound by oath, law, and duty. So give to your partner, benevolence means give to your partner that which is due to her by oath, by law, and by duty. Are we together? Now remember when you were getting married, you said, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer. Yes. Bound by law. Now how do we break this up? Marriage is a covenant between two individuals and God. Bound by oath. The covenant is the oath. Good? It should be bound by the law. The law of God and the law of the land. And it should be bound by what? Duty. Remember I said to you earlier that singleness is gold because the man would know how to function in a relationship and the woman would know how to function when they get married. Duty. What you're supposed to do. So benevolence is not talking about our intimacy. It's not just talking about sex. It's talking about taking care of each other. Can we be more specific? Watch this. Let us be more specific as we look on the subject. Love should be in what? In words and in action. You have to say it and you have to show it. Intimacy. You must say it and you must show it. That is intimacy. You must also wash, cook, and clean for your partner. Make sense, brethren? Yes, man. I was talking to an individual just a couple of weeks ago. And he said to me, he doesn't cook and wash for his wife. He said, no, you don't do these things. But when you do these things, ask the ladies, brethren. That is intimacy too. Ask them. That is intimacy. When you do these things for them, they love it. I cook for my wife. Wash for her. When I say wash, I mean wash. And gone are the days where they would call her what? Mama, man. I wash, cook, and clean. So if she is out working and I am at home, when she come home, only thing she should do is cock up her feet and eat. Make sense? Yes. That's what Paul is saying. Your duty, take care of each other. Put the poor woman under stress. She work out and then she come home, she have to. Well, listen to me, brethren. If let me be fearful. If that is consented by you and your partner, and it is working for you, I can't say anything about that. Fine. That's how you want to live. And your partner is happy with that. That's fine. So you must wash, cook, and clean. With that in mind, I'm going to say something to the gentlemen. And I'm going to share a recipe with you. Because I can cook good too. Do you know that you can bake pumpkin ola? I'm going to share the recipe with you. Something that I've done before. You can fry pumpkin too. Did you know that? Slice it and fry it just like you fry green plantain. Pumpkin is the same texture almost like green plantain. So if you fry green plantain, it simply means you can fry it. But watch this, watch this. I got the pumpkin. Nice round pumpkin. I cut a hole on the top of the pumpkin. I put a spoon inside, scrape out the seeds. I plug it back. I put on a big pot of boiling water. You can put whatsoever you want in the water, a little salt, a little spices, all these things. So it will be absorbed into the pumpkin. After that, you let it stay for about 5, 10, 15 minutes. Depends. After that, you take it out of the pot of water. You prepare your filling, whatsoever that is. Baked bean and saltfish, tofu and whatsoever. And you pull the plug and you fill it with it. Then you plug it back. You glaze it with some olive oil or whatsoever that is, whatsoever you have, coconut oil, and you put it in the sheet and you slide it in the oven. And when you're ready to cut that, men, already you carefully make sure the knife is very sharp. Because if it's not sharp, it can break it up. And you slice it. Slice it in peg and just gently ease it, don't let it open like that. Huh? If you do that for your wife, let me tell you something, Breshin. I'm not saying anything else about that. If you do that for your wife, let me tell you something. Huh? Very powerful. Parents, listen to me. Listen to me. Many parents start destroying their children's relationship before the child ever reach age. You see that little boy right there? As young as he is, if you're not careful, you start destroying his marriage even before he meets the lady. Very critical. So we have to be careful. We have to be careful. Or we train them. I say you must train your child to what? Leave home. You can't train a child to stay at home. That makes sense. The Bible says you must what? You must leave and cleave. So you train them to leave home. So when they come in and they take off their clothes or their shoe and they leave it in the hallway, let them take it up. Because when they get married to somebody, they're going to do the same thing and put the poor woman under stress. Next thing she end up with cancer. Huh? So you have to train. So we have a great responsibility as parents. You prepare your child to survive in this life skill, all these things. You make marriage easier. for the person that they come in contact with when they're ready. When they're ready to leave home. Dr. Pavlov talked about this, classical conditioning. And what it simply means, in layman terms, it simply means that you can train an individual, voluntary or involuntary, to function a particular way. Children watch what you do more than how they watch what you say. Can we test that and prove it? Let me prove it. You have a child, you tell the child, don't touch the fire. They're not listening to you. Because what? They see daddy going around the fire. Not until it burned them, elder. They realize. So they want to touch it. They see daddy in the car driving and shoving key into the ignition. They want to do that as well. Because they see you doing it. So it means, therefore, you must be careful of the things that you do. And if it's something that you must do, that is all right, carefully you do it around your children. Because very soon, they will want to do it as well. And so, we have allowed the world, the media, Hollywood, to taint how we think and operate. And so everything we want to grab out of the television and bring it into marriage, those people are just acting, brethren. Just acting. When you go home, or probably tomorrow, just pick any one of them and read their profile or their lifestyle. They're married to this one, that one, that one, that one. Divorce down here, go back and marry to the person that they married to before. And when they get fed up, they're just married to same sex. So not everything that you see they do on television will work in your relationship. Not everything. So you can't watch that. And you have a lot of people, they copy everything that they see. And they want to introduce it into the relationship. The man can't afford certain things. But you see the advertisement, and you see women in television wearing this and wearing that. You pressure the man. No. If he's not a Christian man, he might go out and steal things. Just so you can be comfortable. And so we must be careful the things that we do. God must be the center of our relationship. It makes sense, brethren? Must. If God is not going to be in it, brethren, let me tell you something, you better forget it. Let me tell you this. When God is in it, it is challenging. Much less if he is not there. Problem. So God must be in the center of our relationship. As we talk about intimacy, you must show affection. The person must know every moment that you care about them. You know, you say things and how you do things. They must know this. It helps to secure them in the relationship. It helps to create boundaries within the relationship. So they must know all these things. You must touch. Say things, man, she like. Don't be afraid to say it. I remember when I met Keris, I said to her, it is too conspicuous for my eyes not to see the beautiful specimen of your femininity. No, listen to me. It's just a pity that she's sick and my son is sick today, so they are not here. But if she was sitting down right there, you would see the smile all the way around to her here, right here. Say it. Women like to hear nice things, And sometimes when they go on the street, you have those guys out there who are looking out for them and they say nice things. So if you're not saying nice things at home, it helps to protect your relationship. So they don't get thirsty of not hearing nice things. So they know that I don't have to listen to what you are saying. I have it at home. It's at home. Say nice things, man. Nice things. And be spontaneous. Eh? Be spontaneous. Don't be afraid. Watch me now. Watch me, watch me. I think it was her birthday. I didn't have any money to go anywhere. She was at work. And I was contemplating, how am I going to work around this? And the Spirit brought something to me. And so I went into Mandeville, and I got a big, nice fish, and let it be snapper. And banga Mary and those things. You're the best. Snapper. I know what she like, fish. She like roast fish, those kind of things. So I got the fish, nice big fish, man. And I clean it up and prepare it. And I stuffed it with okra and carrot and natural seasoning and all these things. I put a little bit of butter inside. And I stuck in the mouth of the fish a carrot. That is important. And I put it in the oven and let it bake. No, she didn't know this. She was on her way home. When it was almost ready, I took it out. Next thing I did, I went into the bathtub with my Scotch Brite and bleach and all these things. And I scoured out the bathtub. I put on the fire about 4 pots of water. Because initially what she said to me, she wanted to go to Little Ochi. I could not afford it at the time. So I put on 4 pots of water because we didn't have any hot water running from the top. And I called her and asked her, where are you now? Sue reach. And I just throw the water in the bathtub, plug it, throw it in the bathtub, and I just get the cold water and chill it. Bring it to the right temperature. Yes, that is important as well. Temperature. So, I did that. And then I get some, they have some scented oil and stuff like that. Yeah, man. And I had purchased one of those non-alcoholic wine thing. Yes, man, that is important as well. And so, brethren, if you cannot take your partner to Little Watch, you bring Little Watch home. Make sense? You have to use the brain that God gave you, You don't have the money and certain substance to do certain things at the time. So you use what you have in your environment. Let me tell you something, man. You can only imagine. That what I just said was for the married people. Remember we're talking. Not single people. Remember we're talking to the married people. Yes. You can only imagine. So you bring Little Ochi home. And what I'm sharing with you are ways and techniques how to keep your marriage going. Because you have a lot of people lurking out there. Satan just set them up. Set them up. And the moment many are not on watch, remember. Huh? And I have to thank God for some Christian women, godly women, because sometimes they are in some environment and it is not easy. But because of the relationship with God, they stand firm. Stand firm for Jesus. So Little Watchy might work for some of you. Now the passage not only highlighted commitment or intimacy, but communication. You see that in the passage? Let's go to verse 5. Verse 5. Look what Paul says. Defraud or deprive ye not one the other, except it be with consent. Communication? Consent. Consent. For a time, that ye may give yourselves to what? Fasting and prayer. And come together again. That what? Tempt you not for your incontinence. Listen to me, brethren. Listen to me. The first family, the first church that God created was a family. Listen to me. The family. Critical. God created Adam and Eve. That's a church. First church created. The family. Family is important to God. The community is made up of what? Families. The church is made up of what? Families. And so if within your family it is not functioning properly, it is going to affect the church. And it is happening to us. It is going to affect the church. So if the family is right with God, the church will be right. I said that to bring you somewhere. Notice what Paul says. Even if you plan to go into worship in the context of prayer and fasting, as a married couple, the man should not just get up and run off like that without saying something to the wife. As a matter of fact, both of you should be going to fasting and prayer. Paul says, you see how family is important? Paul says, you must reason, communicate with your partner. That for a moment, there will be no intimacy. Because you're going to give yourself to God. And it must be consented by your partner. Now, partner, not because you're an individual, you had a fight the night before, it means you're going to hold out on the individual. When they plan to go to prayer and plan to go to fasting and prayer, he said it must be under consent. So you must communicate. And this, I must tell you, was a special occasion because fasting and prayer, more than likely, is a special event that you have once per month or once every quarter, whatsoever the case is. But Paul was registering the idea that marriage is so important that even when it comes to that, you must communicate and consent. Important. Because no one can take you to hell faster than your partner. Did you know that? Say it again. No one can take you to hell faster than the partner who you're married to, if you're not careful. So Paul was saying, make sure you have a good relationship going. Communicate. Say something. You can't just get up and run off. And you know, men have a problem with communication. I thought the ladies would say amen. They say men have problem with communication. Right? But we need to do better. Do better, man. Communicate. Say something. Something. Notice also, and it must be active listening when you talk about communication. So you're not distracted by the television or the radio or something like that. And use up the encouragers. Let them know that you're talking, that you're understanding what they're saying. If they say something I don't understand, you ask them back in a question. Summarize and ask them back in a question. So you can move on as you look at your relationship. Now, in communication, there must be what? Respect. Consent, Paul says. You must respect the individual that you are married to. Respect. You can't just do anything you please and override and all these things. No. As I said before, you're destroying yourself. So there must be respect. Respect. Paul says, look what the Bible says. He said, as soon as consent and prayer and fasting is over, he said you must go back to intimacy. Meaning you say nice things and so forth. Go back to your duty. In other words, go back to your duty. He's saying sexual relationship should never cease in a marriage. It's not that thing that you put off and wait till Saturday night. I remember when we say sexual relation, we're not talking about sex. We're talking about other things. Intimacy, saying nice things, helping each other, cook, wash, work together. So it should not be a one-off thing. It should never cease. Until they say death do us part. Never cease. So Paul is dealing with that also. And depriving is not doing your manly or womanly duties. I'm going to say something else in verse 5. It is going to be the last thing I say to you. Say to you as we come to a close with this message. And I left it for last just because I wanted to register in the mind. Watch this. Marriage is the gateway for family. It makes sense? Gateway for family. Never married for sex. Never. Because there will come a time, God forbid, where you might get sick. Or you might just go to the doctor and doctor tell you, you have to shelf that. And if you were married for that, you're in trouble. The partner gone. And that's a whole lot of counseling. Never married for sex. Take time to identify strength in your family. Sometimes we focus too much on the negative. If you take time to identify strength in a family, you will see the good in the person. And where they are falling, you will help them up. It cannot be that you focus on the negative over the positive. Take time. These things will help to preserve your relationship. There is no perfect marriage. Have you ever seen one? You see it on television, don't you? There is no perfect marriage. Every marriage, every single one, has its ups and downs. Because sometimes, brethren, we'll be looking at and we say, those people lovely and nice. I just love how they operate and things like that. But you may never know. And it is good that they're behaving like this. But you may never know. There's no perfect marriage. Do not choose a partner based on birth month, young people. You know some people do that? Say, me a man mean. And July men them tell lies. And February women too bad. No. I don't think the month have such an effect on an individual. No. You might just be missing a wonderful wife or husband. Don't choose. Spend more on marriage, less on wedding. Can I say that again? Spend more and marriage, less, and wedding. And I am not telling you not to have a big wedding. If you can do it, fine. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but make sure that the marriage is bigger than the wedding. You have a lot of people, they spend all they have, and everybody come drink and eat and talk how the cake never baked good and all sort of thing. And the chicken dry. And that's how people are, you know. Talk all these things. And in the planning stage, you're killing up yourself, or you're inviting 500 people and this need to be right. But still they come and talk about what dry and what never go good and all these things. Spend more on the marriage, less on the wedding. More on the marriage, less on the wedding. Parents, an advice to you. The child is not married to you. Mothers, your daughter is not married to you, nor your son. Let the people be, man. I'm not saying that you cannot give advice. Let them be. Stop trying to live out your marriage in your child's marriage. Assist them, yes. Guide them. But be careful, because you might just be breaking up a relationship that God has joined together. A godly man, a godly woman deserves a godly man. Vice versa. This is how I want to interpret this. If you think your partner is godly, you also need to be godly. That's my interpretation of it. Because sometimes you hear some people say, boy, he's a godly woman or a godly man. But yet, you're not coming up to speed. So if you think your partner is godly, you also need to be godly. That is how it should be. Seek character over looks. Brethren, seek character over looks. Now listen to me. If you get character and you get looks, just call it that you hit the jackpot. But seek character over looks. Last thing I will touch on, and then we close. In verse 5 it said, defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time. Consent for a time. That ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan what? Tempt you not for your incontinency. Listen to me now, brethren. Because sometimes when we read Bible, we don't spend time to listen to the interpretation from the Holy Spirit and to pay attention to what it is saying. The text is saying, as a matter of fact, incontinency means lack self-control. Lack self-control. The last part of the verse is saying, when an unmarried individual, or two individuals who are unmarried, go into sexual relationship, is because they lack self-control. But when two married persons fail to maintain intimacy and sexual relation, is because they lack self-control. We getting the picture? So Paul is saying, we lack self-control because we fail to do our manly and womanly duty in a marriage. Fail to do it. You see, as quickly as possible, get back together so that the devil will not tempt you for your lack of incontinency, for your lack of self-control. So when you fail to do it, lack self-control, They lack self-control. Marriage is a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. I listen to many people saying that they don't want to get married. But Paul says, if you plan to take that route, you need to be a celibate. And our marriages, brethren, are under attack. Seriously? Seriously? And except we allow God to be the center of our relationship, we are in trouble. Serious trouble. Because a broken relationship can do, you know what, it can do a lot of damage to an individual. Did you know that? The person who you trust and love and cherish, spend most of your life with. Key element as we come to a close. Just envision this, brethren. You are 25. God said, the lifespan of a man is what? 70 and what? 10. And by reason of strength, you might live up to 100. 25. You get married at age 25. You live with your partner for 50, 60 years after. Just imagine if the relationship was not on the firm foundation, which is Jesus Christ. And you started off with that individual. You know how many years of bitterness and heartache and pain you'll be living in? 55 years of bitterness, 60 years. Just look at that. What I'm saying to us, start the thing right from the foundation. Start it with who? Jesus. Make sure the individual knows Jesus. Ask the questions. I could never live with that. 50 years of pain and suffering. Hard. And probably that's why you have some people, God have to take some of us before time. Hard. So as we go through life, as we seek to allow Jesus to take control of our lives, we just hope and pray that we put ourselves in the right place so God can lead and direct us. God can lead and direct us. Amen?